Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chesswise. Today we are at the next topic, that is attacking the uncastled king. We have got an example based on our previous topic only, where we discussed the various indicators of attack. Today we have got a position where we see the uncastled king, that is also the king in the center. In this example we will try to use whatever indicators of attack we have learned so far. So it will be like a bit of revision before we go into new indicators of attack. So one of the main indicators of attack is the centralized king, the king which is caught in the center. This position is white to play. Black's last move, rook g8, has a small threat. The idea is knight h4, queen h4 followed by queen takes g5. And black, who has sacrificed a pawn, is looking to regain it or cover all his losses. After the move nf3, he wants nh4, queen is attacked, so queen takes h4 and black generates decent play with b5. Now the point is, there is the threat of b4, so after a3, black has bb7 putting pressure on e4, also g2 is attacked. So he is looking to castle and become safe. So let's see what white should do and what he did in the game. These examples are of master, and when masters are in action, they try to use the principles to the fullest. That is their major skill, that is what I feel. The main problem is the poor placing of the king, and white doesn't want to miss out the opportunity to increase the initiative. There are some very important points of attack. One weakness is, we can see f7 is terribly weak, f5 is open. So white is trying to put pressure on f7 and the f6, both these squares which fall under this rook's domain. Another very important point, last time which we discussed the concept of barrier, this knight is jumping on the square d5. So d5, f5 plus f7 and f6 squares, they form a major set of squares from which white is looking to break through. So white starts his calculation with the move knight takes f7. It is very obvious that white is looking to break through in the position. After knight f7, there are two options. One is king f7, other is the move nh4. nh4 is not at all good. White's initiative becomes very dangerous. Let's try to calculate a bit and then we will play the moves as usual. So nf7, knight takes h4, q takes h4, king f7, white has the very strong queen h7 check. It's almost game over. Rook g7 forced, then bh5, king f8 and queen h8 check. Further there are some more moves, but the mate is inevitable. Let's see. Knight takes f7, knight h4, even worse than king f7, queen takes h4, kf7, qh7 check. Two very important points are there. There is the move king f8 as well, which is somewhat tricky. After rg7, as we saw, bh5 check, king f8, queen h8, rook g8, there is rook f6, bishop f6, queen f6, it's a checkmate. After the move direct king f8 instead of rook g7, things are not very easy. There is the move bh5, but bh5 is met by qg5 check, king moves and qg7. So white here creates the barrier with the move knight d5. As I told before, these squares d5 and f5 are very important. Now the queen cannot be transferred to the king side, and after ed bh5, we see that there is no way to control the f7 square. Again rook g7 is met by qh8. So white wins. Thus after knight takes f7, it was absolutely necessary to take king f7. We must also note that leaving the knight is of no use because of several threats on f6, d6, and there is also the chance of having the break e5. So king takes f7, first bishop takes f6, and now again bishop takes f6 forced. White had anticipated this position, and of course we must have done some calculation before playing the move nf7. The reason I am playing till here is, let us understand the next indicator of attack, that is the barrier which is used here again. See, white wants to play the move knight d5, or he wants to use the move bishop h5. If bishop h5 comes, it will be incredibly difficult to support the knight on g6. But firstly we see that bh5 is not possible because of queen f5, and even if we have bh5, there are two supports to the g6 knight, rook and the king. So white here uses the very strong rook d5. Using the other point here, that is the weakness of f6, is what he is trying to exploit. The point is, after ed, then knight d5, f6 can only be defended by the move queen d8. When after rook f6 we see that white actually gets a winning position. After everything is taken on f6, there is the move queen d6 check, when in spite of queen versus two rooks and knight, white has too many pawns. Let's play the moves and see. He takes d5, knight d5, queen d8, rook f6 check, queen f6, knight f6, kf6 and qd6. So we have got here queen and 4 pawns for two rooks and bishop. So white is winning. Thus in the game, black played the move b5. We must also note that after the move qd8, white can play in the same way. Either he can go rook d6, queen e7 and then go nd5, which position is similar to the one we saw right now. Or he can go with the move rook g5, which is somewhat simpler. The knight is pinned, we put one more attack on it, and next move will be g5. King cannot move because g6 hangs, and the queen doesn't have that much time to provide support to the knight on g6. So here there are multiple threats, we can say. One is bh5, other is e5 followed by ne4. Means either f6 or g6, one of them will be lost. That's why black goes with the move b5. He didn't have much of a choice. And here, as I told you right now, white could have well played the move rook g5, when bh5 would have won very easily. White goes with the fourth series of moves. He finishes off the game with a combination where everything happens with a check after the move e5. Point is that d5 is forced now, f6 is under fire. E into d5 loses to rook f6 check, kg7, then qg6, ke7, then nd5, and again g6 also hangs. So d takes e5, rook takes f6 check, king f6, knight e4 check. White has 4 attackers over the black king, and there are not enough defenders, we can see. The game is about to collapse soon. King g7 can be just met by bh5. So king f7 and now queen f2 check. There is nothing much that black can in fact do. ke8 loses to both nf6 and nd6 check. After ke7 also, queen f6 should win the game very easily. Black plays kg7, queen f6 check, king h7, knight g5 check, kh6. So far everything is very much forced, and white had seen the very important move rook d3. The rook is ready to be shifted. Black pieces cannot move, the knight cannot move. Moving the rook is of no use. The only chance, queen e1 check, but then after bd1, black is compelled to sacrifice the queen. He has to play the move queen h4, and after rook h3, queen h3, gh3 is also possible. White used the intermezzo here. After rook h3, queen h3, first uses nf7 check, forcing the king to h7. kh5 is not possible. Anyway, it would be qg5 mate. Bishop guards h5. So kh7, g takes h3. And again, if we look at this position, we can make out it's queen for two rooks, but white has numerous threats. One is just h5, h4 and h5. Bishop d7, h4, rook g7, h5, knight f4. White uses the stronger move, bishop f3, attacks the rook, and threat is be4. Rook g1 can be just met by kd2. So knight d5, and now QH6 check, KG8, Queen H8 check, King F7, Queen takes A8. And white soon converted his material advantage here. White has a strong dangerous H pass pawn here, and anyways black doesn't have enough for the queen. Of course this example is by no means easy. Now the level of our positions are going to increase, and I will try to maintain it at this level. Sometimes I will try to take some easy cases also. I hope you are finding these lessons useful and instructive. Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.